We've come a long way, baby. Welcome to Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle, your show for compassionate living without sacrifice. On this episode, I'm attending the enchanting Midsummer Night's Gala, the third annual event supporting Tamerlaine Sanctuary and Preserve in New Jersey. Join me in the midst of the festivities, meet some of the event sponsors, prominent guests, the awardee, and the sanctuary's co-founder, and find out how you can get involved in going vegan and helping save animals, right here on Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle. Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle was the official television sponsor for Tamerlaine Sanctuary and Preserve's third annual Midsummer Night's Gala. Tamerlaine Sanctuary, founded by Peter Nussbaum and Gabrielle Stubbert, has been taking in previously neglected and abused farmed animals since 2013 to provide them long and happy lives, expanding to the sanctuary's 336-acre property in 2018. The gala directly benefits the sanctuary and its monarch, butterfly, and native pollinator conservancy. The magical evening, held on the beautiful sanctuary grounds with dinner and refreshments by some of the best in vegan cuisine and drinks, featured a musical performance by the critically acclaimed Jonas Smith and jokes by a vegan comedian. This year's honoree is Joel Capolongo, vegan restaurateur, owner of Strong Hearts Cafe in Syracuse, and longtime animal rights activist who has shown immense courage and selflessness, putting his life on the line to defend the lives of our fellow sentient beings. I talked with Joel and he shared some exciting news. I also spoke with Gabrielle Stubbert, founder of Tamerlaine, with her husband Peter Nussbaum, some of the gala sponsors and attendees. Let's go to Tamerlaine Sanctuary and Preserve's third annual Midsummer Night's Gala.
Oh yes, it's impossible to see from the clouds up above, but I wonder where you'll be when you start to miss our love. Never hangs a crown, hangs a crown, never hangs a crown.
6 heures du matin, la journée qui commence, aller travailler pour se retrouver dans la danse, recommencer encore une fois pour gagner sa vie et sa pitance.
What a beautiful, magical evening as promised. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little sweaty, feeling a little hot, and
Look
waiting
hot.
for dessert.
And I'll tell you, I dipped.
You dipped?
Oh.
I did.
Wow.
The meal free.
Is it gonna be good?
Stunning.
Yes!
Yeah, and
Speaking of dipped, we all dipped into your incredible cheeses, which were a highlight of this evening. Tell us, you're opening a cheese emporium.
A cheese easy, so to speak.
I speak cheesy.
A speak cheesy.
I speak cheesy. Yeah. So anyway, it's a flagship shop, #1, first flagship shop, and the mothership will still be there.
Well, they'll have to come to the sanctuary because she's opening near the sanctuary.
That's it. That's it.
Or if they go see Lori, then they'll have to come to the sanctuary.
Absolutely.
Well, it's logical. It's logical. So tell us about this event. It really is a truly magical evening, and it's benefiting monarch butterflies, which you are caring for here in a very special way. Tell us about this.
Well, we are building a 1-acre landscaped monarch butterfly and native pollinator garden, but it is surrounded by 21 acres of wildflowers, fields, all of the things that these animals need to survive. So we are leaving that in place for them. You know, we're not mowing it, we're not putting any pesticides on it, we're not growing any, we're not haying. The monarchs are dying. They're not yet on the endangered species list, but they will soon be. And it's a combination of global warming because when we had gone there the year before, there was an early freeze. And so a lot of the monarchs had died. But it's also a product of them not having milkweed across the country. So milkweed is the one plant that they can lay their eggs on. And the caterpillars live on that milkweed. It is the only plant that will feed their caterpillars. Most people eradicate milkweed because it's a weed. Admittedly, it's not the most beautiful flower, but it does smell like lilac. I mean, the fragrance of it is incredible. And with all of these huge monocultures of soy and corn and everything else in this country that we use to feed livestock, it is also poisonous to livestock. So it has been really eradicated from the landscape. And when they make their trek from Canada all the way down to Mexico. Now, granted, it's not one butterfly. It's many generations of butterflies that make that trek. They need that milkweed to land on, to eat, to lay their eggs so that the next generations can go on. And so it's getting harder and harder to find those plants. And bringing awareness to it with this garden is helping children to realize you can do something to help this. You know, most people feel helpless all of the time. They say, all of these horrible things are happening. But if everybody planted native plants in their backyard, it would support an incredible amount of wildlife. Even though they are weeds, if you get a bunch of them together, you know, like bee balm and goldenrod, all of these flowers together really make a beautiful plant that you can show off in your garden. You know, when they're spread out with all of the grasses and the weeds, you might not even notice them. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to show the people that they can actually landscape with these plants. We need to create the habitat for these animals to survive. And it is as simple as that. If everybody planted these native plants in their own backyards, we would have this whole connection of gardens that these animals could jump to. It's just like how people are putting
their lawns.
Well, also people in New York City are putting gardens on the roofs to support the honeybees. Yeah. There's no habitat on lawn, all right? When we bought this property, it was incredibly beautiful. Every bit of it was mowed. I mean, it looked like a golf course, and it was absolutely gorgeous. But there's no room for habitat now. After 4 years of being here, we've let a lot of the wild places come back. We're seeing a lot more butterflies. And your backyard doesn't have to look like, you know, a bunch of weeds. You can do some beautiful landscaping. The only habitat that you're going to find on a lawn is habitat for ants. Yeah. And then the clover that grows, the bees can, you know, get the nectar from the clovers. And then the groundhogs. The groundhogs love a lawn. But that's pretty much it. You know, you're not going to have grassland birds. You're not going to have a bunch of pollinators. Nope. And so we need to create better spaces for these species to survive. And the great news is these are beautiful plants that everybody can enjoy.
You had a really wonderful honoree this year. Tell us about Joel.
Yeah, so our good friend Joel Capolongo, he has been friends with my husband for quite a long time. He goes all the way back, and he is very hush-hush about all of the animal rights stuff that he's done, but he is definitely put his life on the line for the animals for many, many years. He's a little bit older now and a little bit wiser, and he's a little bit more conservative. So he does his advocating through his restaurants. And so anybody who lives in northern New York or around Syracuse and now around Buffalo knows about Strong Hearts, right? It's a vegan restaurant. And he also has a vegan running team. And on that vegan running team, they have elite athletes. So when they do these big runs with all, like there are literally teams that are like, we're the bacon team. These guys are the vegans, and they are always on the top 3. They're always, you know, they're the winners. So that's another great way to spread the word about veganism and how it's good for athletics, and just like the movie Game Changers, you know, it's like every little bit of advocacy helps. Anything that you're interested in, and you can bring some veganism into that, and you know, pique the curiosity of people, that is fabulous. So we were very happy to honor him tonight.
Where I grew up, animals in their complex social and emotional lives were not only not considered, the existence of such things was not even acknowledged. My father wasn't a big outdoorsman, but other families on our street and their kids were. And I spent almost every day in the summer fishing in the local streams, lakes, and rivers in our area. One of my friends had a .22 caliber rifle that we would walk through the woods with and terrorize virtually anything that moved. We even had a small trap line where countless fur-bearing woodland creatures would be trapped and maimed before suffering unimaginably agonizing deaths. The ones that were still alive, when we went back to check the traps, would be finished off with the handle of an axe, or would have their last breaths forced from them by the soles of our boots. I very rarely, if ever, talk about this kind of stuff with anyone, because I'm filled with unimaginable shame and regret for callously and quite intentionally taking the lives of so many animals in my youth. Most of my friends, even my close ones, some of which are here today, may have never known these things about me. But that all changed in the fall of 1992 on a Sunday afternoon when I was 15 years old. I told my parents I was going to a friend's house, but what I was really doing was sneaking off to Syracuse and going to a hardcore punk rock show. That one single afternoon radically altered the course of my life and consequently the lives of many, many others. Because it was at that grimy, grungy, hardcore punk rock show that I was exposed to animal rights at an information table by a local animal rights group in Syracuse called the Animal Defense League. And shortly thereafter I became a vegetarian. I went fully vegan in the summer of 1993 and have never looked back. So upon graduating from high school in 1994, I dove headfirst into the world of grassroots animal rights activism. I became one of the leaders of the local Animal Defense League, where we did public outreach and vegan education campaigns, as well as staging aggressive, sometimes militant-style protests in the Syracuse area that would often end with many of us being arrested and spending a few days in jail. In 2005, I volunteered with the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, where we spent 50 days in the Southern Ocean, covering over 3,000 miles along the coast of Antarctica, actively disrupting and sabotaging the Japanese whaling fleet. Due to the actions of our crew that year and the constant sabotage and the harassment of the fleet we inflicted upon them, the Japanese fell 83 whales short of their kill quota for that whaling season. So in the 11 years from 1994 to about 2005, I was arrested 20 times in the course of defending animals in one form or another, and cumulatively spent about 2 months in jail, including a longer 30-day stint I did in Atlanta for protesting the Yerkes Regional Primate Research Facility, which is the largest primate research facility in the country. In 2008 in Syracuse, with no business experience, and without ever having even worked in a restaurant, along with my friend and business partner Nick Ryan, we opened Strong Hearts Cafe, an all-vegan restaurant, which is still in business today and has become one of the top few longest-running all-vegan restaurants in New York State and possibly the country. We'll be opening a new restaurant in Buffalo, New York. I'm a minimally educated hick from upstate New York who was fortunate enough to have an epiphany early in life and fall in with a good group of people who helped educate me and guide me on the path of empathy, compassion, kindness, and above all, action for animals. If I can do these things, anyone with a little determination can do the same.
Joel, thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations on your award tonight.
Thank you very much.
You have done so much in not even, a little bit more than half your life now, right? You've dedicated to advocating for animals in a really, really impactful way.
Yeah, it started when I was 15 and I'm 45 now, so two-thirds of my life has been dedicated to animal activism.
But you're not just like hold up a sign, you are really putting yourself on the line for the lives of others.
Yeah, I mean, my activism started when I graduated in high school in 1994. I attended my first protest that summer in Syracuse, outside of First Store. And between 1994 and 2005, I was arrested 20 times in defense of animals. So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what that's like from your perspective.
Well, I mean, some of the times that I was arrested, it wasn't my choice. But other times it was. I was intentionally putting myself on the line during civil disobedience type protests. And for me, it's a very easy, logical choice. The 1 or 2 days I'll spend in jail is absolutely nothing compared to the lifetime of misery that animals have to endure. So to me, it was a very, very easy choice to always speak up and be active for animals, simply because I can, and I can help their plight, and I can be their voice by getting stories out in the media, by drawing attention to the cause, and it just seemed like a very natural choice for me to make.
What would you advise new vegans or people who want to become vegan as their first step towards becoming an animal advocate?
I would say my advice would be to start slow. You don't necessarily have to get arrested at your first protest, and you probably should not. Start slow, educate yourself very, very thoroughly and fully about the cause that you're advocating for, so you can be knowledgeable and articulate when you're being interviewed, and when you're speaking to people who come up to you on the street and ask questions, when you're talking to family members over dinner about why you choose to be vegan, you should have the facts and figures and information readily available to you. So that's the big thing I would say for new activists, is just to educate yourself so what you're saying and what you're articulating is correct and truthful, because we don't need to embellish, we don't need to exaggerate. The truth speaks for itself.
Exactly. You mentioned families. We both have a similar, both from Italian families, and we both lucked out in having their support. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so when I went vegan when I was 16, my parents were initially skeptical, I would say, but once they saw that I was committed and I wasn't going back and eating animals, my mom kind of took it as a challenge, so she veganized a lot of her Italian recipes. Every Thursday and every Saturday we had homemade pasta with homemade sauce, homemade meatballs, so she would still make those things, but would make a separate batch for me without any meat or dairy. So I think she enjoyed having something new to do, and then, once they really, as the years went on, they became very, very supportive, because they knew it was something that I truly believed in. It wasn't just a phase, it wasn't just a fad, and I was living my convictions. I wasn't just saying one thing and doing another, I was saying one thing and doing the same thing as well.
And Sunday pasta before the CB's matinee?
Syracuse had very popular bands too, the most popular being Earth Crisis, which were pioneers in the vegan straight edge movement in the scene, and they were from the city that I grew up in, so to have legendary musicians like that you see around town, you see at clubs, you see at shows, it was very, very inspiring. Not only to be able to connect with them on a personal level, but to listen to their music and read their lyrics. They're all about animal liberation and animal rights and living a clean, healthy lifestyle. So the punk rock scene, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
And you have a second restaurant opening soon?
Right, so Strong Hearts in Syracuse opened in 2008. It's still open there, and we'll have a second restaurant in Buffalo, New York.
Well, we look forward to coming by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again so much, and congratulations again.
Grazie.
Prego. Tell us why an event like this is so important to you.
I love being here because there's so many amazing animal advocates here who fight for the animals all day, every day, through their food choices, through the way they encourage other people, through the way they use social media, and so on. And so to be around so many amazing, like-minded people is awesome, and for such an important cause like fighting for the animals, it brings a lot of joy to my heart.
Okay, me too. And you are an animal advocate. This is what you do. And you travel the world talking to people and convincing them to join us in caring for our fellow sentient beings. Tell us what got you started on that path.
Yeah, sure. So the way that I got introduced to animal advocacy was mainly through the compassion of my mother, Karen Oberg, and she really instilled a sense of compassion for animals in me. And over the course of years, that looked like different things. Like we fought for the rights of deer at a local park. We rescued animals and so on. And eventually it led to me learning how farm animals are being treated behind the closed doors of factory farms and slaughterhouses. And
this is on your own or with your mom?
This is on my own later. So this is about 13 years ago. And I learned that farm animals don't live good lives with one bad day. They live lives of horror, basically from birth to death. And that wasn't something that I wanted to pay for. And so I decided to become vegan myself, and then also to become an animal advocate, because I recognize the importance of getting other people to go vegan as well, because the exponential change that we can create is really, really big.
Yeah, there's every reason to go vegan.
Absolutely.
What have you found is the most effective way to convince someone to take a step towards veganism?
The ways that I've found to be most effective is really to meet people where they are rather than where we want them to be. So while I want everybody to go vegan overnight, I recognize that that might be a big leap for a lot of people, and it might be more effective to encourage smaller incremental changes on the path towards veganism. So encouraging them to try meatless Mondays or things like that, or vegan on the weekend. There's so many varieties of you, and there's so many great resources now. Like Veganuary, Challenge 22, things that really make it so easy for people to go vegan and explore veganism. So really, really brings a lot of excitement to me to show the world the great ways in which we can stand up for animals with the foods that we choose to eat.
Speaking of foods, what is your favorite vegan non-food item?
Non-food vegan item. Oh man, you're putting me on the spot here. I would say, soccer ball.
Okay, this is a good one. This is a very good one.
Yeah, I love playing soccer, and that brings a lot of joy to my heart. And it's important to mention too that I really firmly believe that animal advocates need to be animal advocates in as much as they can, but also that it's about sustainability, and it's important to have outside interests as well. And so, we don't want to get burnt out. So, I find a lot of happiness in playing soccer, and so that would probably be my favorite non-food item that I own.
Thank you again so much for joining us, and enjoy the evening.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me and for everything you do for animals.
I found out about Tamerlaine Sanctuary about a year ago, and we wrote an article about them in our charm program, and I just fell in love with them. Peter and Gabrielle are just salt of the earth people, and everything they do for the animals in the community, their educational programs, I just think the world of them. And when I found out that they were doing another event coming out of COVID, in-person events, I said, we have to take part, we have to participate. So we came in as a sponsor, and I've just been thrilled to be a part of it.
Tell us some of your more, let's say, your longer standing actions and anything new that you have coming up.
World Day for Farm Animals, Meat Out, Compassionate Holidays. We just had an incredible festival, which you covered.
It was on the show.
It was a premier event, and we had about 2,500 people show up, and a lot of them weren't vegan. And
it was such a great day. I'm sorry I interrupted you because it was such a great day. Say that again, say that again.
It was a great day. All our sponsors, all our vendors, they were all not vegan, and they all saw the benefits of being involved in a plant-based festival.
Do we see the possibility of Planet Bethesda 2023 yet?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, everybody involved said count us in for next time. So we haven't started planning yet, but we are, chatting it up and talking to people, and everybody's on board.
What would you advise someone who's just getting into veganism or wants to, but doesn't know how to start? What would you suggest for them as a first step?
My tagline for going vegan is just change your brand.
Yes, we talked about this. I love that. Yes.
Find food that you love and just look for the plant-based version. It's so easy to be vegan these days. When I went vegan 20 years ago, it wasn't so easy. But now all you have to do is just introduce people to the plant-based alternative. There is a replacement for everything. There is no excuse. And those people who are like, well, I'm vegetarian and I still haven't given up dairy, animals are treated worse in the dairy industry, so please consider that. Milk, ice cream, yogurt, it's all liquid meat. Those animals suffer more than the animals in the agricultural industry. Please, just do it. Just take the plunge. Try it for 30 days, right? And then see how you feel. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel cleaner. It's just so worth it.
And morally, and we tasted here tonight some excellent vegan cheeses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The cheese, everything was like top of the line. The desserts.
I just filled my plate with desserts, so I'm gonna show a sneak peek of it after we wrap up here. I'm gonna have my dessert.
You deserve it, Lucia.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks again so much for being on, and we will see you soon.
Yes, thank you so much.
And now that all the guests have wrapped up and the evening is coming to an end, look at what I'm gonna do. We look forward to Tamerlaine Sanctuary and Preserve's 4th annual gala. Did you spot Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle at the gala or another event you attended? Tag me and I'll give you a shout out. Watch Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle to live your best vegan life. Subscribe to the Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle YouTube channel to catch up on all episodes, and follow on social media for exclusives and to find out what's airing next. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, be sure to hit the subscribe button to help me keep this show going. And if you enjoyed this episode, like and share it, because it really does help support me making this show, which helps people go vegan and stay vegan. Tap on notifications to be the first to know when a new episode or content drops. Level up with LVL and live your best vegan life. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle, your show for compassionate living without sacrifice. I'm Lucia, I'm vegan, and this is my lifestyle.